Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday, September 8th, 2014, the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Training number 18 today. And we have I think we have a very powerful week scheduled for you guys here, and John sort of has masterminded this week's content. So I'm just going to throw it right over to him right off the gate here. Let him say good morning and get you rolling on this. He's going to lead this week's calls pretty much, and I'm going to be the color analyst this week. Go ahead, John.
Oh, well, thank you for that, Paul. Yes, it is Monday, September 8th, and I absolutely just want to share that I love Monday mornings. And if you're one of those people that wake up on Monday and you're dreading getting up and going, whining to yourself about getting up and going to your job, or if you have your own business and you're dreading getting started in your own business, and you're just start off Monday already looking towards the weekend as your escape route and planning going out Friday night to get drunk and wash it away, you're in the wrong business and you've got the wrong belief system going on. So I just want to say happy Monday, and it's an awesome day of the week because it's a fresh start. And we have some, like Paul said, we have some awesome content planned for this week. Last week, just to kind of quickly recap, I hosted the call Wednesday, and I kind of laid out a time management system, which if you rewatch that and you follow, like I said on that call, it's not easy. It's actually quite challenging, and it takes a commitment and a dedication to actually stick to that schedule. And I do honestly struggle with it every day, but it's worth the struggle because it will help you to get better, grow every day, and really realize where your time is being spent and what you're doing with your time, and make you kind of open your eyes and realize that, hey, I may not be doing the right things here in life. Or maybe you'll surprise yourself and be like, man, I'm on the right path. And if that's you, I congratulate you. Friday, Paul hosted the call. I wasn't able to attend. He talked a little bit about the 7 steps. Some people call it the Money Machine Express, but he basically laid out, the steps towards creating a more successful business. You can use these steps to create a more successful life, which kind of leads us into where we're going to go this week, is kind of to expand on that. I think this week I really want to get into concepts about belief system for your business. And with that being said, really focus this week on business development, business growth. I have been, this is a book right here. It's called Secrets of the Millionaire. Geez, that's a tongue twister to me this morning. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I've read this book probably 3 times in the last 2 years, and Paul and I have the amazing opportunity to go to a weekly mastermind group with a man named Jeff Fagan, who actually helped the author of the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind book, T. Harv Eker, develop his company, Peak Potentials. And we mastermind the concepts of this book on a weekly basis. And every time I read this book, every time I go reread anything or relook at information that I heard months ago, certain things give me aha moments, because maybe when I read this book for the first time and even the second time, 6 months, a year and a half before that, there were things that kind of went over my head. So where I want to take today's phone call is because I was reading this book, and in the book he breaks down people's mental blueprints and how that affects their belief system, how that affects their health, their success, their financial life, their spiritual life. Kind of touches on the 4 realms that I talked about: your mental health, your spiritual health, your financial health, and your physical health. So he basically breaks down in this book different wealth files or different programs that are in our mind that kind of leads our thoughts and actions. So in reading wealth file number 8, which I'll just tell you what the wealth file says. Basically it says, rich people are willing to promote themselves and promote their value. Poor people think negatively about selling and promotion. I'm going to repeat that one more time, because in order to be a successful person, to be, rich financially, spiritually, mentally, or physically, you have to be willing to promote yourselves and your value. And usually it's broke people, unsuccessful people that think negatively about people who are in sales promotion. I was one of those people. Paul, probably, I imagine, is me a very similar backgrounds, kind of were those people some time ago. The reason this wealth file, when I reread this in the last week, really stuck out to me, because it reminded me of some of the, I guess, hurdles that me and Paul had to jump in the beginning of this business. And when we first got started, we didn't have a strong belief system, and we didn't really have the value and the service and the product that our business offers truly defined at that point. And if you don't have your value and of your product and your service fully defined, it only makes sense that you would have a weak belief system. So that's where I'm going to take it today, is talking about promoting your value, promoting yourself, and also about defining the value of your product and service and how important that is. Before I keep going, Paul, is there anything you kind of want to add to that?
Sure. I'll just throw in that you're right about who I used to be, and that was somebody that I didn't feel like sales was anything that I could ever do, because I just basically had this belief system, this mindset, that this programming within me that I was not a person who could talk to other people. I could ever sell anything to anybody or anything like that. And sales in and of itself, was sort of, the whole idea of a sales job was a disgusting idea to me, and having to sell people on something else, that was a completely disgusting idea to me. Someplace that I was like, I would never ever in my whole life, no matter what, ever go there. But there was a little piece to me, I guess, and maybe this was a plus to my side, that I don't know, I found a really brilliant sales presentation that I would find myself sort of like in awe of, like, man, that guy really freaking sold that, you know what I mean? And so, I guess the appreciation of that maybe is what helped me really be able to jump that hurdle a lot easier than maybe some people might. To start with, that might be a good idea for some people, is just to, hey, look at a sales presentation and really analyze it and look at that and see, is it something that really, that you could actually stand there and be in awe of, you know what I mean, and imagine yourself, being able to do something like that. And then the second thing I was going to go at is where John's taking us with this today, this week, in all about being, promoting your value, your own value, and promoting yourself, promoting your value in your business and your service, your product, not only promoting the value of that, but more importantly, promoting the value of yourself. One thing that I'm going to go with the business side of it, first of all, that's in the book, he writes in here that, it says, how can you create a large income in your business or as a representative of a business if you aren't willing to let people know that you, your product, or service even exist? Simple enough, bottom line, you got to open your mouth. If you're not talking about your business, and the only way you're going to talk about your business is if you're excited about it. And like he says in here a little bit later, I'm going to throw in real quickly, get a little bit ahead of ourselves here, John. If you are in a business right now, or if you're looking to get into a business of any type, take that product or service and rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 in how much you believe in that product or service, how excited you are about that product or service. If you're anywhere from a 7 to 9, if you're not a 10, first of all, if it's a 10, great, do that. If it's a 7 to 9, then look at it, step back, look at it, evaluate it, and see what it's lacking, where your belief is lacking, figure out what the gap is that isn't preventing you from being a 10, and if you can cross that gap, then you're in the right place. And if you're anything, if you rate it right out of the gate at anything from a 6 or less, don't even mess with it, because you're never going to be able to get the belief system up to where you need it to be to have any success with this whatsoever. Even if you're in a business right now and you can only rate it a 6, you don't have the enthusiasm, you don't have the excitement, you don't have the energy, you don't have anything that it takes to create a successful business in that, with that product or service, and look to go somewhere else. I mean, bottom line, I mean, it might sound ridiculously crazy to get out of whatever it is that you're doing and into something else, but if you're not going to have the power behind it, which comes from, you know, excitement, enthusiasm, and energy, you're never going to get anywhere. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let me take it back to the beginning of where and go over a little bit of me and Paul getting started in the wholesaling business. I'm going to assume for a moment here that anybody that's, you know, watching these videos, following along with the things that we're talking about, are either wholesalers now and are just looking to get a little more information, join us in these masterminds and pick up some gold nuggets here and there, or that you're brand new at wholesaling, you've never done a deal, and you're looking to join Paul and I's team. Well, with that being said, when me and Paul got started, we did, and we still continue to this day, to do what a lot of other programs will tell you to do, and that's, you know, do a direct mail marketing campaign to find motivated sellers. Look, there's certain things they tell you to look for, you know, divorce cases, probate, tax liens. You know, there's different absentee owners, different marketing, I guess, segments of the market where you'll direct your mail campaign to, send out letters, and wait for phone calls. I want to warn people, because this is something that held me back, and this is where what we brought up with Well File 8 will start to make sense for you. Is, you know, me and Paul did a marketing campaign. We started doing letters to people that had estates in probate. Real quick, all probate is it's a process that goes through the courts. Somebody passes away, their estate has to be probated. They have to settle debts, tax debts, credit card debts. Also, there may be assets within the estate that need to be liquidated, such as real estate. So it's a situation where there can be motivated sellers, and so that's where we targeted. We were successful and had a couple deals. It took us a little while to get enough mailers out, but we eventually, the system worked, and we began getting some phone calls. What I was never warned about was how many people actually, and I shouldn't say many people, some, but at the time it seemed like so many people. But if you look at the averages, more people were open and receptive to our marketing campaigns than others, but there were those people that called off our letter and were actually quite angry and quite negative about having received a letter from Paul or myself. And the reason I bring that up is because at the time we were still establishing what our value was in the market, what it was we had to offer other people, and really having a strong enough belief system so that we can have our defense mechanisms up, not to let other people's negativity. Paul's a little stronger than me, though. This guy talked me out of just about giving up on the whole process. But, you know, my belief system in the beginning wasn't strong. And I think it's important to say, hey, when you get started in every business, not everybody's going to like the product or service you have to offer. But you can actually, as you establish yourself and you establish your belief system and determine what your product or service is and promote that product or service after you've clearly defined its value, that in itself will give you a strong belief system so that when you do have a negative response, as we did, it doesn't deter you. I think that's one of the things that held back our success. And when I read this Well File the other day, it got me thinking, aha, because, you know, 3 years of doing this business, I finally get it. You know, I have no problem now promoting the value of the company that I represent, the products and service. And when people react negatively to you, another thing that I've learned is you don't take it personally, because that comes from them. As the wealth file says, poor people, unsuccessful people, broke people, negative people think negatively about sales and promoting. So no matter what your product or service is, you're always going to encounter people that are negative towards you for just simply wanting to promote your product or service. And as Paul said, you know, good salesmen are excellent at what they do. And when you have the, I would say, the opportunity to buy a product or service from someone who's good at their job, good at sales, you realize that sales and promotions is a fantastic business. It's an absolutely amazing way of earning an income. And statistically, out of 100 people, or 100% of the people that are in sales and marketing, 95% of them, for lack of a better term, completely suck at what they're doing. And it's those sucky salesmen that give the whole career a bad name. So without getting too off topic there, I want to jump it back to Paul to kind of let him give his take on what I was just going through right there.
Yeah, two quick things right out of the book here. There's an old saying that says, if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door. Well, you know what? Nobody's going to beat on your door, period, if they don't know about that better mousetrap. And then the other thing here is that, you know, what John was just talking about in promoting your business. You know, rich people, it says right here in the book, rich people are almost always excellent promoters. They can and are willing to promote their products and their services and their ideas with passion and enthusiasm. What's more, they're skilled at packaging their value in a way that's extremely attractive. Now, going back to what John was saying there about our marketing campaigns and getting some negative talk from negative responses, you know, yeah, absolutely. Not everybody is, you know, you can't please all the people, you know, 100% of the people 100% of the time. It's just the way human nature is. People are, certain people you just can't please ever. And, you know, yeah, we've got, when we sent out our letters that John was talking about, we had responses of people saying, oh, such a lovely letter. I thank you so much for your, you know, your kind thoughts and all of that. And, you know, I mean, and when you get great responses like that, you know, it makes you feel really good. But then, like John says, you get the guy that, you know, would call Geico for sending him a letter that says he can save 15% on his insurance in 15 minutes, and pitch them out for saying, you know, hey, why do you think I need to change my insurance? You know what I mean? But, you know, that person's going to call you as well, too, and say, hey, what the heck are you doing sending me a letter thinking I need to sell this house for? You know, so, you know, and people can be very angry about very different things, you know, especially with what John was talking about when we were sending to the probate, because obviously that is a situation where you could come across people who, you know, are emotionally fragile, you know, given the situation of somebody passing away. So there's definitely a factor there that could promote people who maybe normally wouldn't be angry about something like this to be angry. So, but the whole idea of getting those letters and like John says, taking it personally and letting that affect your ability to progress. I mean, and not letting that negativity beat you down, or getting that phone call from that person, and after that you hang up with that phone call, you know, questioning yourself and saying, you know, gosh, is this, you know, am I doing the right thing? Is my letter right? You know, and should I even be mailing these people letters? You know, what's going on here? And as you build a stronger belief system, you won't let those things affect you. You won't take those things personally, because you'll just come to understand that, you know what, that's just part of doing business, and it's really just part of doing any business, not just real estate. So I just wanted to throw that in, John, as far as you know, building the belief system. You know, and that's one of the good things that, you know, is awesome for you guys who decide to come on board with us, because, you know, we're going to be there to support you. You know, if you get a phone call like that, and you know, you don't know how to handle it or whatnot, I mean, there's nothing we can do with you on the call at the very moment. Of course, you're just going to have to kind of work your way through that. But as soon as you get done, you know, hey, you can, you know, if you're on our team, you can give us the call right away and say, hey, I just got this phone call. This is what happened. yada, yada, yada. And you know what? Just being able to get that off your chest, share it, express it with someone else, get a point of view that instead of letting it continue to beat you down is going to help to rebuild you immediately, can be a huge plus in your strengthening your belief system and moving forward. So I wanted to throw out the fact that you know, if wholesaling is something that you want to do, and you might be afraid of that sort of situation and having to deal with it, and how it's going to affect you, and if it's going to cause you to want to walk away or whatnot, that we're always going to be here to support you in that respect.
Absolutely. And as I alluded to before, in the beginning, when the campaign worked well and we were having, as Paul said, responses that were quite positive, more so than the negative responses. But when for me, starting a fresh new business, getting into sales, realizing that I was getting into sales, negotiation, marketing, something that I already had kind of a sour taste in my mouth to, those negative responses affected me more than they should have. But lucky for me, my business partner was a lot more strong against those type of reactions than I was, and he kind of let me talk through it. But actually, I feel that those negative responses is also what helped us to create our business, because then it got us thinking about how do we, when we get an angry call like that, is there a way maybe to turn some of those people around? And we've had some success with turning people's attitudes around. How did we do that? And that's basically where we began to define and establish the value we have to offer. One of the most important concepts to consider is when you have a product or service, you want to frame that in a way, as Paul said, straight out of the Millionaire Mind book, in a way that's attractive to other people. Well, the way to make it attractive to other people is that one of my mentors, Jeff Fagan, loves to use this phrase. It's everybody's tuned into their radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? So you want to make your product or service attractive, you have to frame it in a way that shows them what the value is for them, not what the benefit is to you, because people, quite frankly, don't care what benefits you. They want to know what's in it for them. So that actually revamped my whole thought process of how, when people call me up off one of my letters, say, well, I got your letter. What is it exactly that you guys offer? We made a lot of mistakes in the beginning going into what we had to offer from the perspective of what benefits, the Sell a House Arizona company. We realized that was a mistake, and that's where we began to establish, well, what is it that we actually have? What are we actually offering them? And how do I make my prospective seller client feel like selling us the house is giving them the best possible value for selling it to us? Why do you want to sell to me? How can I frame that in a way that is very attractive and makes you want to sell it to us because you feel like our value is the best value? I saw you signal. It's something I think you want to add there.
Oh, no, actually, I was just signaling the wife there, but actually, no, while you're on that, yeah, the whole idea of the negative responses, not taking them personally and looking at them and analyzing them and using them as a catalyst to help you better define your value in the marketplace. That's definitely a key, because you always want to be correcting and continuing and moving forward. And anything negative, period, whether it's a response from somebody or anything negative that happens to you in your life, your business, whatever, shouldn't be looked at as something bad. It should be looked at as a learning opportunity and a way to say, hey, what caused the negativity, and how do I get over it, and how can I prevent it from happening in the future? Which you obviously can't prevent it 100%, but you can limit it, you can knock it down. So, and then looking at things from the perspective of the WIIFM radio station, the what's in it for me, instead of because because like John said, well, instead of looking at it from the point of view of this is what I do kind of a thing, I'm here and this is what I do, instead of presenting things that way, we flipped it around to where we now look at it as not what, if somebody asks if somebody asks us what do you do, we don't just tell them, oh, well, this is what we do, and we'd like to buy your house. No, we turn that around to more like, this is what, well, more importantly than what it is that we do, how about what it is that we can do for you? And we turn it around to the point that, where we're presenting what our value to them is, opposed to just what our product and services. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, no, here's a nice shiny package, and if you use it this way and you use it this way, this is what it does. We say, if you take this nice shiny package and then you can get all of this benefit out of it in kind of a way, so and basically what that comes down to is something that's called your USP, which is your unique selling proposition. And what John was talking about there is what sets you apart from your competition, because you've got other people out there doing the same thing as you, and you send out letters, and your letter's probably not going to be the only letter that somebody gets. So what is it that's going to be about your letter that's going to make them call you opposed to the 15 other letters that they got? You know what I mean? So the unique selling proposition and delivering and how to present your value to other people is the huge key. And as John says, that's basically from day one, once we first started our business in learning these things, and obviously from our trainings in other areas, the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind Deal, et cetera, and so on, switching around our mindset and our belief system from the beginning to understand that, hey, what we know maybe needs to change, and maybe we need to think in different ways to begin with, and being able to look at everything negative, and instead of just looking at it as a negative, being able to say, what, we need to put a spin on this, and how do we create it into a positive, and growing all these things. And since we've done all of this over the course of 3 years, obviously, when you come on board with us, here again, you have that support of us and our advanced stage in the game, to where you're not just sending out the form letter that you get in a product or that you purchase that 48 other people in your city are using, and the person gets the same exact letter from everybody. You get to use a letter that is basically handcrafted. That's a little bit unique and different. That is going to set you apart with a unique selling proposition to your prospect. That's going to get your phone ringing over and above somebody else's.
Yeah, absolutely. I see we're actually at the 30-minute mark.
Crazy.
That's basically kind of the groundwork for the week. Is just pointing out that you have to be willing to promote yourself and your value. You can't take the negative response that you're most likely going to get on a small scale. Most of the people that will contact you are going to be positive. But rather than letting that beat you up, beat you down, and make you second guess getting involved in this business, you can use that as something to strengthen your belief system and to establish and define the value of your product service and help you to create your unique selling proposition. With that being said, I think it's time we wrap this up, but I think you've got the groundwork for kind of where we're going to be taking the calls this week, in kind of explaining and defining the value of what we have to offer our seller clients as wholesalers. Define a little bit this week maybe about the business, what we offer, and a little bit more about strengthening your belief system and strengthening the your marketing and promoting your market and promoting campaigns. And there's a couple other books that I'd love to recommend and break down some concepts from that tie into this, but we definitely don't have time. So I'm going to throw it back to Paul. So I think you should end it today with the Napoleon Hill prayer, because it's definitely relevant to what we're talking about here, that people say this to themselves.
You know what? This Napoleon Hill prayer is relevant to everything. I mean, it's relevant to your life. I mean, anything that you want to do in this world, it really all wraps right around this Napoleon Hill prayer. Because you know what? We were all born with great riches, and they were given to us at birth. And you know what? Over the years, we have learned to squander them. But this Napoleon Hill prayer reminds us how we can regain control of these great, valuable riches that were given to us at birth, given to everybody, given to you, given to John, given to me, given to the neighbor, given to everybody at birth. We all have this. This is like a birthright to us. And so this little prayer, you think about the words in this prayer, and you can apply this to anything in your life and make your life better. So it goes like this. O divine providence, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to better use the riches I was given at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. So, I mean, that pretty much says it all, guys. You have the power to control and direct your own mind to whatever end you desire. That's all there is.